Little Arwen is hiding in a closet, trying to stay quiet as a monster sniffs the air right outside the doors. Just as the beast peels the doors open, a massive fist slams its head into the floor. It's Harten, arriving just in time. He bails out of the house with Arwen in his arms, telling her they need to reach a safe place immediately. To keep the kid calm, Harten starts a counting game, telling her to close her eyes while they head out. As he moves through the ruins, he counts out every monster he drops. 3, 4, 5. He's carving a path with zero effort. Eventually, they make it to the forest where things are a bit quieter. He sets her down to rest for a moment. Harten offers her some nashil fruit to eat, trying to keep her spirits up. The poor girl can't stop crying for her mother, even as she takes a bite. By nightfall, they've set up a small camp. Arwen eventually cries herself to sleep while Harten keeps watch. In her dreams, everything is back to normal, with her mom serving a warm meal. The next morning, they're back on the trail. Harten points out a birdie to distract her from the long walk. They finally crest a hill and see a massive town in the distance. They made it. The town is bustling, a complete contrast to the silence of the forest. Harten leads her straight to the guild. He introduces her to Claril, a kind elf who works there, and asks her to look after the kid for a bit. Arwen isn't happy about him leaving. She grips his hand, tears streaming down her face as she begs him to stay. Harten has to go report the attack, so he gently pulls away while Claril tries to comfort the sobbing girl. He promises he'll be back soon, though the look on his face shows he's got a lot on his mind. Arwen stands on the wall, clutching her toy and watching as the man who saved her walks back toward the gate. Harten stops by a forge where a girl with pink hair is lounging around with a giant hammer. She recognizes him immediately, having heard the rumors about his strength. She introduces herself as Kiri. The old blacksmith isn't exactly thrilled to see them together and gives Harten some grief about his armor. The old man flat out refuses a custom order, telling Kiri it's way too soon for her to be handling that kind of work. Harten remembers a time he wasn't so lucky, flashing back to a bloody battle where he barely made it out. He stands ready with his massive axe swords, looking every bit like the battle-hardened warrior the rumors describe. Back at the guild, Claril takes Arwen and another kid for a walk through the town. She leads them to a place to wash up, letting Arwen know she's safe now. Arwen gets a much-needed bath, though she's still pretty quiet and overwhelmed by everything. Claril shows her to a private room, telling her to rest while she gets some food ready. Alone in the quiet room, Arwen clutches a small plushie, her mind drifting back to the home she lost. A couple of other kids, Nayu and Ben, burst in to say hello, trying to get the new girl to join their game. They're excited to have a new playmate, but Arwen just stares at them, still stuck in the nightmare of the previous day. She breaks down in tears again, and the other kids realize they might have pushed a bit too hard. Claril watches from the doorway, knowing that no amount of comfort can truly fix what the girl has been through. We shift back to Harten, looking exhausted and covered in sweat after a brutal fight. Nearby, an adventurer named Rizrit is on her knees, staring down a group of monsters that have her cornered. Just a little while earlier, she had been scouting ahead, thinking the situation was under control. But her entire party got ambushed and wiped out in seconds. She's the only one left. As the monsters close in, she accepts that this is the end of her journey. Suddenly, a massive blade whistles through the air, cleaving through the beast in front of her. Rizrit can only watch in shock as Harten stands there, looking more like a monster than the things he's killing. He tells her to hide while he finishes the job, his focus entirely on the remaining enemies. A final look back at the village of Normia shows just how peaceful things were right before the massacre started. Normia Village, once a peaceful home for elves, is now a sight of pure horror as monsters descend on the innocent. Senseless violence tears through the streets, leaving nothing but devastation and the bodies of those who couldn't escape. Harten stands amidst the carnage, his expression unreadable as he surveys the ruins of what used to be a home. He doesn't have time to mourn, though, as more monsters swarm the area and he leaps back into the fray. Every swing of his massive axe swords is precise, cleaving through the demonic forces that ruined this town. Harten takes a deep breath, focusing his energy as he prepares for the next wave of attackers. The number of enemies is staggering, way more than he dealt with last time, but he doesn't back down. He carves through them like a force of nature, taking out entire groups of organized monsters with a single rotation. Despite their numbers and organized ranks, they're still just fodder compared to his raw strength. The battle turns into a blur of blood and steel as Harten keeps moving, never giving the monsters a chance to regroup. One particularly large beast tries to challenge him, but it's over before it can even register his movement. His speed is terrifying, appearing like a phantom before his enemies and ending them before they can even scream. The monsters start to realize they're outclassed, but Harten isn't letting a single one of them walk away from this. Even the stronger demons are shocked, realizing too late that this human is on an entirely different level. He lands a heavy, final blow that echoes through the silence of the dying village. With the immediate threat cleared, Harten finally stops to catch his breath, the weight of the battle finally hitting him. He scans the ruins, wondering if there are any survivors left or if the silence means it's all over. Finding a house that looks familiar, Harten steps inside and finds a glowing spirit manifesting over the remains of a fallen elf. He realizes she was an Eldrasil, and in a quiet moment of respect, he promises to take her daughter to safety. Cut back to the town, where Harten finally returns to the guild, seeing Auyn waiting for him outside. The little girl immediately asks if the scary monsters are gone from her house, hoping she can finally go back home. Harten can barely look her in the eye, his own heart heavy with the news he has to deliver to someone so young. He tries to find the words to explain the loss, but the grief on her face tells him she already senses the truth. Harten finds Rizrit sitting on the ground nearby, exhausted and wounded from her own struggle during the chaos. Auyn finds her mother's coffin and can't help but cry out, begging for her to just wake up. Harten kneels beside her, apologizing for not being able to save her mom as the girl's world falls apart. In her moment of absolute despair, a massive surge of spiritual energy erupts from the girl, lighting up the entire room. High above, the mages of the city sense the powerful aura and wonder what kind of incredible being just awakened. Back in the guild, everyone is stunned by the light as Auyn collapses in tears, her power finally spent. The story then shifts to a different part of the forest, where a young girl named Myria is running for her life. The monsters are everywhere, cornering the defenseless child as the village falls into darkness. Myria falls, her eyes wide with fear as a massive beast looms over her, ready to end it all. But a flash of steel interrupts the attack. It's Rizrit, the red-haired adventurer, stepping in to protect the girl. Rizrit comforts the terrified child, telling her they need to stay quiet if they want to survive the night. Myria remembers her mother's final words, telling her they were just playing a game of hide and seek to keep her calm. Her mom had hidden her away, promising to come back once everything was okay, while a loud bang echoed outside the door. Myria watched through the cracks as the door was kicked open, catching a final glimpse of her mother's sacrifice.